You might remember that Jeff Bezos owns both Amazon and the Washington Post, which claims that democracy dies in darkness. But apparently this is another case of rules for thee, but not for me, as Bezos used his money, power, and influence to assure Americans that there were absolutely no issues with mail-in voting. However, it seems that by his own rules, Bezos is now acting like a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, inciting insurrection because he doesn't want to allow mail-in voting for an Amazon union election in Alabama. This effort to unionize is the first such vote in almost 7 years, which would allow workers to negotiate for better working conditions. Company spokesperson Heather Knox said that Amazon believes, quote, the best approach to a valid, fair, and successful election is one that is conducted manually and in person, making it easy for associates to verify and cast their vote in close proximity to their workplace. I wonder where I've heard that one before. Joining me now to discuss is Hans von Spakovsky from the Heritage Foundation. Welcome back, Hans. Thanks for being here tonight.
Sure, thanks for having me. It is quite funny, isn't it, that now finally Amazon realizes the problems with mail-in balloting.
Exactly, and that's what I want to start off by asking tonight. So, because it's quite the statement from Amazon's spokesperson that having a one-day in-person vote is more valid and fair than conducting the union election through mass mail-in voting. But isn't that a claim that would have been fact-checked as misinformation by the Washington Post if it had been made about the November 3rd election?
Yeah, the Washington Post was constantly denigrating anyone who raised any concerns about absentee balloting, including me personally, by the way. And yet the letter that Amazon's lawyers have sent to the National Labor Relations Board protesting the all-mail election says all the things we were warning about last year, that there's potential for more fraud with absentee ballots, that workers may be coerced and pressured in their homes through absentee ballots, and that the turnout may go down because people make mistakes when they fill out the form. These are all things we warned about last year.
And it's interesting to that point that Amazon, when they were called out on that, they said that their election, this is fundamentally different, their words, than a political election. And they're saying that political elections that, for example, voter rolls are cleaned up regularly. Are you buying their excuse?
No, that is not an excuse at all. And that is totally invalid to say that somehow a union election is going to be different than a regular election. In fact, given the kinds of accusations that have been made against unions in the past, I would think you would want even tougher security with a union election.
And it's also interesting that they point out here, quote, that they're concerned about an unreliable electronic signature platform. Does that also make the case for voters just going in person and manually casting a vote?
It does. And there have been pushes to rely on electronic signatures. Anyone who's really familiar with that knows that electronic signatures, frankly, are just about worthless and in no way will enable you to know whether it's really the particular voter who has signed that form, particularly if this is being done over the internet.
So is Bezos just so concerned that perhaps this Alabama warehouse will unionize, that he is going to have his mitts, I guess, all over this election?
Yeah, no, I think that's it. But see, the stuff that they were doing to denigrate anyone who raised questions about this during the general election, look, that was partisan politics. They really didn't know anything about how elections are conducted. But now that his ox is the one that may be gored by potential fraud, for example, now suddenly he realizes, oh, yeah, there potentially is a problem with mail-in balloting.
I don't think we're going to get any apology anytime soon from Bezos, do you think?
No, I don't think we will.
No, what a shame. And it's also one thing that I was reminded of as I was looking more deeply into this is back in November, about 46% of Americans, they either voted by mail, absentee ballots as well. And we had one of the lowest rejection rates as well during the November 3rd election. What's going on there?
Well, I have to tell you, that should raise a lot of suspicions because the rejection rates are usually based on the fact that people make mistakes when they fill out their forms. And remember, this last election, we had all these people voting for the first time using absentee or mail-in ballots. You would have expected that the rejection rate would go up because people are unfamiliar with the process. that makes me suspect that election officials weren't actually doing a very good job of verifying the authenticity of those absentee ballots and making sure that voters had actually complied with state requirements. Instead, they just decided, well, we're just going to count everyone no matter what.
And not only is Bezos' company doing a 180 on mail-in voting, but also on COVID-19, because when they went to the National Labor Relations Board, they were saying that they were squabbling over terms about what really constituted an outbreak of COVID, because a lot of the workers want to vote from home because they say they fear contracting COVID if they were to vote in person. But here we have Amazon back in 2020, November 3rd. Bezos was saying that would be voter suppression if we didn't have the mass mail-in voting. But here his own workers are saying we want to do that, and his company is squabbling over terms about what an outbreak means.
Yeah, it's really amazing how he has totally changed his tune here and even is disputing the conditions of COVID-19 and the pandemic. It's quite a turnaround.
It is definitely. But Hans, thank you so much for breaking it all down for us, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching the Heritage Foundation's YouTube channel. With more than 500,000 members, we are the nation's largest conservative research and education institution. We believe the principles and ideas of the American founding are worth conserving and renewing. Please help us further our mission by subscribing to this channel and sharing our videos with your family and friends.